Welcome to the financial and lender update here at Get Fundable. Merrill Chandler, your host and your guide to the Get Fundable universe. So, what's going on in the world today, guys? Well, it's it's not good news. But there is a silver lining for those of us who take fundability seriously. So, they just announced that household debt rose 3.13 billion in the second quarter to nearly $15 trillion of consumer debt. Now, true, consumer debt is basically financing anything. This isn't credit card debt. Over the past 4 quarters, 4.6 trillion of new mortgages were engaged. So think about it this way: 45. This is crazy, and I don't even know how these numbers how these numbers correlate to each other. But it says that 44% of all outstanding home loan balances were engaged in the last 12 months. And with consumer debt, credit card debt, mortgage debt, we're now up. We engaged $3.13 billion in the second quarter of this year. This is insane. It is second only to the run-up of Q3 in 2007. Remember, 2007, it was a free-for-all. Money was hanging on trees, and everything came to a dead stop in the winter of 2008. Crushed 2008. Okay, so the bottom line for us is that borrower behaviors are continuing to increase madly. Now, it's not going to get any better, because now I'm going to segue to, we've been talking about this buy now, pay later, BNPL, buy now, pay later phenomenon, but nobody has been talking about kind of the dark side of the BNPL side of things. So we're going to go over a couple of things so you understand what buy now, pay later looks like. First of all, the fintechs brought it in, which means investor money, venture capitalists are literally providing consumers money so that they, instead of putting something on a credit card, their phone app, their bank is powered to be able to say, yeah, buy now, pay later. Click that button. And the general terms are up to 4 payments, 2 to 4 payments, interest-free. And some go a little bit further than that, but most of them are within 4 payments. So there's no interest if you pay it off within those 4 payments. Okay. So where are they making their money if there's no interest? Merchant fees. Merchant fees are going to be 5 to 8+% instead of that 3 to 5% for conservative to risky window. Conservative 5 to 8% is what they're going to be charging. So the profits for buy now, pay later are going to end up coming out of the merchant's pocket. Now, that isn't the only place that there's a problem. In the math that we're going to go through this math right now. If a lender did in a traditional installment loan, let's say there's a loan for $1,500 for 6 months or 36 months, and it is a 20% interest rate, taking out 15% for losses, the net profit on that loan would be $430. Buy now, pay later, same $1,500 loan amount, but they're going to take 5. They're being conservative. They're going to take out 5% instead of 2 or 3% out of the merchant's pocket. Interest rate, if they go beyond those 4 payments, is 20%. Losses at 15%. Their lenders will only make $204. Now, the carry period is only 4 months, so the money comes back faster, and there's not the risk of going over having to wait 36 months to collect your 430. That's what is attractive to the investors in these venture capital and fintech companies. They're saying, well, we'll take half the profit, but we're going to get it in 4 months. I'm all in, because that same 4 months is only going to represent a few dozen dollars in interest paid, and you have to wait 36 months to collect all of that 430. So there's there's an impetus there. There's a motivation for bankers or these fintech companies to get on this bandwagon and collect half the money, but do it in 4 months. And here's the rub. All the money is coming out of the merchant's pocket, so it's a guaranteed payment. It's not relying whatsoever on the payment of the borrower to the merchant. Follow me? They make half the money, but it comes out at the time of transaction from the merchant's pocket, and the merchant pays that $204. and there is little to no risk to the buy now pay later. That's one of the reasons why it is so popular, because hey, let's just bend the merchant over one more time. Now, the idea is, the reason why merchants accept it is because they're making more purchases. But the merchants are the ones who have to collect over 4 months as the money is paid by the borrower. So this is going to be a mess. And but what is near guaranteed is that 313 billion in the second quarter, buy now, pay later, is going to cause more billions of dollars in consumer debt. Now, we're at a peak, a high of credit card debt since the first round of COVID came on. In this middle period between the Delta variant, there was a rise again in additional credit card spending. Buy now, pay later is coming in like stormtroopers to seduce buyers to not put money on their credit card, but to make additional payments. Now, got to remember that 36 months, you have a very low payment amount for that $1,500 loan. But if you're doing buy now, pay later, you have basically $350 payments times 4 to pay off that same $1,500. That puts a significant burden on the borrower, and they're focusing on Gen Zs and millennials because it's instant gratification, which follows the Gen Z millennial framework of things. Instant gratification and the perception of no interest, because fintechs are making their money off the merchants. Perception of no interest, so it looks like a killer deal for the young borrowers. And the math they have to do is, can I make, for that $1,500 loan, can I make $350 payments 4 times in a row? Might be steep for a $1,500 purchase of and then pick your poison, of an audio car system, of televisions at Costco or wherever they're going to spend this money. So it is, and the credit score modeling is not required for an approval because the merchants are paying for the profits to the lender. So you guys, there's a lot going on here, and there are some very significant problems with this. Think of it this way: if lenders wanted to make the same $420 instead of the $200+, they'd have to take 20% out of the merchant's pocket. This is how aggravated this new credit instrument is going to be. Plus, there it can be confusing, because if you need to do a refund, who's carrying the paper? Do you go back to the merchant where you bought it from, or do you have to go to who's carrying the paper, which are these fintech companies, right? And these different fintech companies, let me come up with some of the names here, so that you know kind of who's who in this marketplace. There's PayPal is doing this, Klarna, Affirm, Sezzle instead of Sizzle, Sezzle. All of these have point of sale software, and their teams are running to banks to onboard their software as part of the banking software available to their depositors and their borrowers who have online accounts. So, guys, this is the credit requirements. Now I have to talk to you from the perspective of strategic borrowing. This is pure consumerism. They may not even look at your credit score. They may not look at your profile to see your borrower behaviors. These are ultimately high risk loans targeted to young borrowers, so that they can pull the money out of merchants' pockets and then carry this loan for 90 days instead of 36, to use the example before. I am not a fan of buy now, pay later. I'm one voice in the wilderness decrying that this is not good. It's pure consumerism. I believe this is likely the only place where David Ramsey and I are on the same page. I am not about grotesque consumerism, buying because it doesn't cost me, so I'm going to buy it now and pay later. I believe in where Dave Ramsey and I split is, I believe in strategic debt that I can leverage other people's money to create a higher standard of living, better quality of life, and create assets and income streams that will supply me and my loved ones for the rest of our lives. That's my model. I am not about the absurd consumerism, interest-free loans. It might be great if you're a serious borrower and you're looking for something interest-free. If you have to do it, be careful. Read the terms of your online app before you use it at a store or to make a purchase. But once you know the rules of the game, then be very careful, because abject consumerism has never benefited anybody that I know of. And I do not want you to get into unnecessary debt. Let's keep it to strategic debt that we can leverage to grow the influence and grow the quality of our lives. This is Merrill Chandler. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Get Fundable News Update. Be careful out there, guys. I love you. I'll see you.